Hello and welcome to PlayStation Access and a tour of some of the biggest games on the horizon. One of them is Horizon Forbidden West. Do you feel that tingling in your fingers? Well, for once, it isn't the DualSense wireless controller's haptic feedback, but a sense of electrifying anticipation for the next 12 months of PlayStation magic. Here are 20 PlayStation games you absolutely must play in 2021 and beyond. We kick off with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, not just a welcome return for our favourite Lombax robot combo, but a real showcase for PlayStation 5. Dr. Nefarious has torn holes in reality, and while this is definitely a problem, and we are definitely cross about it, we're secretly quite happy as it shows off the lightning-fast PS5 SSD as you whip between dimensions in a blink of an eye. It's a visual showstopper only possible on PS5, as is the way the DualSense wireless controller brings Insomniac's arsenal to life. Adaptive triggers differentiate between firing modes, and haptic feedback perfectly captures the energy surge of shatter bombs as they leave Ratchet's hand. Throw in 3D spatial audio and real-time ray tracing reflections on Clank's metallic bod, and this will give your new console a real workout.
Well, if I had a magical rift, I would jump to a dimension where Horizon Forbidden West was already released. The sequel to one of PS4's best games sees returning hero Aloy venturing west to the overgrown remains of San Francisco. Someone really needs to weed the Golden Gate Bridge. It's here that you'll encounter new friends and enemies and, more importantly, shiny new machines, from the turtle-like shell snappers to herds of robo-piggies called bristlebacks. Visiting the warmer climes of the West Coast also invites Aloy to take a dip into the briny blue, literally diving into humanity's history as Horizon's brilliant sci-fi lore grows ever more mysterious. If you're anything like me, then you watch the trailer at least 2 times a day. It brings you 3 minutes closer to release. It's a life hack.
Guerrilla certainly make pretty water. I'm a firm believer that the number one test of graphics is how wet the water looks, but it's closely followed by how shiny is that car bonnet. They come none shinier than Gran Turismo 7's thanks to 4K support and ray tracing that accurately reflects every tree and frightened woodland creature as you go zooming past. Polyphony Digital's racing simulation has long been the high watermark of virtual motors, but PS5 gives it a proper MOT. It'll go from 0 to 60 even faster thanks to SSD loading times, will capture every terrifying pothole with haptic feedback, and uses adaptive triggers to simulate the weight and resistance of your throttle and brakes. And with the return of GT Simulation Career Mode, you'll have ample opportunities to test all this out when Gran Turismo 7 parks up on PS5.
Hogwarts Legacy is doing something no Harry Potter game has done before, letting you explore an open-world version of the famous wizarding school, but as your own character, so you're not just repeating the stories of the books. Yep, you'll be able to plonk your head in the Sorting Hat, join a house of your choosing, I'm going to be a Slytherin, but a nice Slytherin, and attend lessons to develop into a witch or wizard of your choosing. It is a proper RPG with difficult decisions and miles of surrounding land to explore, so you too can bunk off school and hope the tutors don't catch you necking butterbeer in Hogsmeade. Oh, and fortunately it is set in the 1800s, so there's no chance of him with the scar hogging the spotlight.
Ah, Hitman, helping bald men feel cool for 20 years. Hitman 3 continues that fine work and makes up for all the international travel we missed last year. The final installment of IO Interactive's World of Assassination trilogy takes us from the sky-touching heights of Dubai to the rain-drenched streets of Chongqing, China, via an English manor where there's a murder mystery to solve before you can identify the guilty party and add to the body count. Poirot would not approve. And the big headline this time is that you can enjoy this and every level from the last 2 outings in PSVR. So you too can finally walk a mile in a bald man's shoes. Expect your appreciation of hats to change dramatically when this arrives on January the 20th.
Speaking of assassins, Deathloop has 2 for the price of 1. You play as Colt, who is trapped in a time loop on Black Reef. His only way to escape? Kill 8 targets before the day ends. Problem is, he's been hunted by rival killer Juliana, and in a magic twist, Juliana can be controlled by another player, invading Colt's single-player story to try and derail it. On top of that, developers Arcane Leon, makers of the fabulous Dishonored series, are having real fun with the DualSense wireless controller. You'll feel different reload animations through haptics, hear Juliana taunting you through the speaker, and, best of all, feel gun jams before you see them as the adaptive trigger locks up. Prepare yourself for this very violent Groundhog Day on May 21st.
Far Cry is a code word for escapist fun. After trips to the Himalayas and Montana, Far Cry 6 visits Yara, a Caribbean island that is not only the largest Far Cry setting ever, but boasts the series' first urban war zone. Fighting to seize the streets of Esperanza will be very different to the wide open fields we're used to, with gunfights in tight alleys and showdowns across the city's rooftops. Oh, and you can also enlist a dachshund in a wheelchair called Chorizo into your army of guerrilla fighters. Help is welcomed as you're up against Anton Castillo, played by the frankly terrifying Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad. If he lays a finger on Chorizo, we riot. Well, it sounds like we'll be rioting either way, but we'll, riot extra hard.
2021 or 2020 glom, huh? If Little Nightmares 2 has anything to say about it, the next 12 months will not be happy ones. We're back in Tarsier Studios' freaky universe where children struggle to outwit gibbering adult monstrosities. It's basically a checklist of the worst things ever. Living disembodied hands? Check. Necks that twist a little too far? Check. Creaking mannequins? No, sorry, I draw the line at mannequins that move when you look away. That's too much. It's too much. The 2017 original was one of the most distinct horror games of the generation, and this looks to grow it in every way. Bigger monsters, bigger escape sequences, and bigger screams. I'm already looking excitedly, nervously, at the 11th of February release date.
From things that go bump in the night, we now look at things that go biff and pow in the night. It's Gotham Knights, an exciting return to the open-world streets of Gotham City that are a little bit more dangerous than before due to, Batman being dead. Bummer. In his place, you play as his various protégés, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood and Robin, taking down iconic villains with a familiar mix of stealth, gadgetry and good old-fashioned fist on face. It's more of an action RPG than the classic Arkham games, and there's a focus on 2-player co-op. Do 2 sidekicks have the power of one Batman? We'll solve these superhero mathematics when Gotham Knights comes to PS4 and PS5 in 2021.
Next up is Ghostwire Tokyo from Tango Gameworks. In this trip to Japan's capital, 99% of the city's population has vanished. Which is great news if you wanted tickets to Hamilton, but not so much for, well, everything else. It is your job to solve this mystery, wielding spiritual attacks and abilities triggered with Kujikiri hand gestures. So less like a first-person shooter and more like a first-person pointer. This is more of an action-adventure than the out-and-out horror game you might expect from the makers of The Evil Within, even though it does draw on a mix of Japanese folklore and modern-day urban legends to populate the iconic landmarks of Shibuya with all kinds of nightmare fodder. I cannot wait for a spectacular spooking.
If it is out-and-out horror you're looking for, then book a visit to Resident Evil Village. After incredible remakes of Resi 2 and 3, Capcom return with an all-new tale. You are back in the first-person body of Resident Evil 7's Ethan Winters. Think he deserves a break after the Baker family? Well, it's not called Resident Kindness, is it? An almost unrecognisable Chris Redfield whisks him to a new snowy setting where Ethan uncovers local secrets while escaping packs of wolf-like monsters. Resi 7's first-person perspective made it one of the most immersive scare-em-ups in years, and this looks like a phenomenal leap over that, with a level of detail only made possible by the hefty innards of PS5. I mean, look at that chandelier. The scariest thing here is the bill for all those candles.
If you think paying for candles is going to be steep, wait until your mechanic prices your car fixes in Destruction All-Stars. In this hyperkinetic future, sports teams of colourful heroes and even more colourful cars enter combat arenas to try and smash to victory. There are giant traps to mince up rivals, and some brave contestants may even try to survive on foot and hijack their desired cars. It is all about escalating mayhem. Ramp up the havoc and you access a hero vehicle with unique attacks. All this is playable in a solo series or 16-player online matches. This is going to be colourful, chaotic, crunchy, and probably some other nice words beginning with C. I mean, we'll find out soon enough in February.
Kena Bridge of Spirits was a lovely surprise at the PS5 reveal in June 2020, a luscious action-adventure set in a mystic land inspired by Japan and Bali. Oh, and starring a cast of critters so adorable it'll be a crime if they don't get turned into a plush toy range. You are Kena, a spirit guide working to save trapped souls from a forgotten village. She enlists the aforementioned fluffballs, known as the Rot, to help her solve puzzles and distract enemies in combat. They'll only get involved once you've softened up corrupted spirits with your staff and bow combo. A good chance to feel that simulated bowstring resistance through the DualSense wireless controller's adaptive triggers. My question, will it also let us feel those fuzzy little guys? Here's hoping.
Here's one that just rolls off the tongue. It's Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. But let's skip the numbers from now on. This is a remake of 2010's Nier Replicant, the Japan exclusive version of the PS3 game that later spawned the phenomenal Nier Automata. It was a bit of a cult classic back in the day, so is getting a very welcome second shot at the spotlight, with everyone's favourite moon-headed director Yoko Taro taking care of it. It's not a simple remaster, but delves into the nuts and bolts, updating the 10-year-old combat to please modern Automata fans and recording new vocal performances. This fascinating accompaniment to the newer Nier comes to PS4 on the 23rd of April.
Speaking of JRPGs, I am feeling like a very lucky man. Not only did I get Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2020, but news of Final Fantasy XVI as well. And the next mainline entry looks glorious. A return to the high fantasy stories of knights, royal families and massive magical crystals. It's being shepherded by producer Naoki Yoshida, whose work on Final Fantasy XIV is beloved for its brilliant story, so I've got high hopes this is going to be another tale for the ages. It all revolves around the power of icons, think summons, and the humans they inhabit. You're a royal knight, Clive, tasked with protecting your younger brother who has the Phoenix icon inside him. I honestly could make this whole video about this one game. The chocobos, the slick real-time combat, the terrifying Marlboro, the music, but there'll be plenty of time for that in 2021. What a time to be alive, eh?
Has it really been 23 years since Abe made his dramatic escape from Rupture Farms on PlayStation 1? Time truly flies when you're accidentally leading your friends into a mincer. Oddworld Soulstorm is actually a reimagining of the second game in the series, Abe's Exodus. Yes, it maintains the blend of side-on stealth and puzzling, but it is expanded with a new 2.9D art style that sees worlds buzz with new layers of activity. You might be dodging trains as they hurtle into the foreground, or picking off sligs in the background with a gun turret. Throw in a crafting system and even larger numbers of friends to lead to safety, and this is almost unrecognisable from its source material. I can't wait to make a bid for my freedom in 2021.
Next up, a game that puts the blocks into blockbuster. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. This is a total Star Wars experience, all 9 films retold in plastic, from the early days of trade federations all the way up to Kylo Ren's temper tantrums. It's not the first time many of these films have undergone Legofication, but they'll feel fresh thanks to combat that lets Force users mix lightsaber combos and mind magics, while sharpshooters like Han Solo get an over-the-shoulder camera so it feels more like a traditional shooter. And of course, it comes with the LEGO game's usual mountain of secrets, sight gags and explorable hub worlds. By the time you've finished all that, they'll probably have made another trilogy.
Now for a space adventure of a very different kind. This is Returnal, from those big brains at Housemarque. Best known for the scorching arcade thrills of Resogun, this is a very different proposition. Astronaut Celine is stuck in a looping nightmare, her ship crashing on an alien world where every death resets her in a slightly different landscape. And thanks to PS5's SSD, those resets will be lightning fast, so you can quickly get back to being killed by deadly creatures. Thanks, SSD. There are echoes of Housemarque's arcade sensibilities in the bullet hell action, and you know it will feel great under the fingers thanks to the DualSense wireless controller's adaptive triggers controlling alternate firing modes. I cannot wait to get going and get dying.
We've another trip to an alien world in our next game, Outriders. Although one look at the arsenal you're packing here and it's the local wildlife you worry for. Developers People Can Fly are best known for their ridiculous boomsticks in Bulletstorm, and this takes the know-how and grafts it onto a huge looter-shooter action RPG. You'll amass hundreds of weapons as you make a home on Enoch and get to play with brilliant space magics that do everything from freezing time to materializing new guns out of thin air. Played alone, this is a juicy spectacle, but multiply that action by 3 in co-op and you see Outriders as it's meant to be played. This is a big, booming blockbuster, and I can't wait to dive in on February the 2nd.
Right, there was no way we were making this list without including Stray, which is described as a third-person cat adventure game. Why this isn't already the most popular genre on Earth, I do not know. Maybe this will kickstart a movement. You play as a lost Moggy attempting to navigate a mysterious cyber city to get home. This involves sneaking past its robot population or just getting their attention with adorable meowing. It sounds like the team at Blue 12 want to capture the full cat spectrum, from purring pal to playful pest. I love the neon city design, and the sight of a cat wearing a backpack is an obvious winner. And praise be, this is slinking onto PS5 in 2021. Of course, these are just a fraction of the games coming to PlayStation consoles in 2021 and beyond. If you don't mind me squeezing in a bonus 21st game, I have got to give a little shout out for the next God of War that is also due out in 2021. We would love to hear what is at the top of your must-play list. And while you're here, please do subscribe to PlayStation Access and hit the notification bell so you know when we've got fresh information on all of these wonderful games. Thanks for watching and see you soon.
PlayStation